In 2012, over 630,000 people applied to U.S. medical schools. Every single one of these students had a college degree. Just around 19,000 students were accepted. Applicants work hard to balance rigorous college course loads, satisfying a lengthy list of prerequisites required for medical school. They must excel in extracurricular activities, prove their leadership abilities, serve the community, and shadow medical professionals. On top of this, they must also test well on the MCAT, a standardized test that serves a vital role in the admissions process. Applications are followed by interviews, allowing students to prove that they should be accepted. When the medical schools we revere today were founded in the 18th century, they required much less of their applicants. What began as a trade with little required training has become a highly regulated and respected profession. Essential to this transition was the refinement of medical school admissions. The earliest form of medical training was apprenticeship, generally beginning at age 16 and lasting 7 years. Their primary resource was access to the physician's library. This nonchalant method of training left apprentices with little experience and a lot of responsibility. A notable change came with the establishment of the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine in 1765. John Morgan and the founding faculty used the University of Edinburgh as their model. At this point, the school was the first and only medical school in the 13 colonies. Students enrolled in anatomical lectures. There was no graded curriculum, students paid per lecture. Admission requirements were non-existent. In 1852, an article was published in the New York Daily Times entitled Medical Schools in New York. Although the schools are not well known, the comparison reflects the kind of analysis necessary for refinement of medical education. Examining the qualifications of the staff and the requirements of the students will give us a better idea of why this was necessary for the advancement of the profession. As Flexner puts it in his 1910 report, here as elsewhere, development follows hard upon actual responsibility. The article introduces the schools as being well-mannered and well-conditioned, maintaining with each other a sharp rivalry. The author goes on to describe the three schools: Crosby College of Physicians and Surgeons, the University, and New York Medical School. Although no author is listed, we know that the newspaper was local and was run from 1851 until 1857. This article was published on October 5, 1852. The intention is relatively clear: to inform readers about the various local schools and compare their programs. It is likely that most readers would not be wealthy enough to attend such schools. However, the lacking admission requirements meant that if you could pay, you could enroll. These schools were profitable businesses because students paid handsomely and received their degrees quickly. In his analysis, the journalist addresses the buildings, notable experiments, and curriculums of the schools. The critical observation to this discussion was his note that the New York Medical School forcibly commends itself to the profession, lengthening its regular courses to 5 months instead of 4. This provides valuable insight into a few lesser-known colleges and how the attempted reform on a smaller level before the larger schools more successfully obtained it later in the 19th century. After the establishment of Penn Med, Harvard Medical School soon followed with a similar model. Harvard offered lectures with lecture tickets to prove class attendance and gave out diplomas after just a semester or two of courses. Historians now categorize the early medical education programs of Penn and Harvard as diploma mills. These methods continued to be standard throughout the 19th century. Like today's students, those who enrolled paid high tuition but without the rigorous entrance requirements. The resulting competition between schools caused the institutions to make efforts to shorten their curriculums and ease the requirements for graduation in order to attract more students. With medical education in disarray, the 1893 establishment of the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine brought change. Hopkins imposed rigid entrance requirements, but its 4-year model struggled because at that point 90% of American medical schools offered degrees in less than 3 years. The model was soon accepted as more schools took it on. Harvard soon followed with Charles Eliot's reform under the Hopkins model. By 1920, all remaining medical schools in the U.S. had adopted the Hopkins model. The establishment of the American Medical Association and the American Association of Medical Colleges also greatly helped with reform efforts. They improved the standardization of practice and education. Flexner's report notes that these simple measures would bring intelligence and sincerity where subterfuge and disorder now prevail. Without the refinement and standardization of the American medical school admissions process, we could never have achieved the morality and standard of care now associated with the profession.